Hi, and welcome to this RuleFy tutorial. In this video, we'll go step by step through how to use the file correctly from scratch, how to set up your monthly income, how to define your budget percentages, how to enter your transactions, and how to read the dashboard. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which parts you need to complete, which parts update automatically, and how to use the template without touching formulas or changing the internal structure. When you open RuleFy, you'll find several main sheets. First, we have the menu, which works as the starting screen and lets you quickly navigate through the file. Then we have Settings, where the budget logic is configured. Next is Transactions, where you'll enter your daily or weekly movements. We also have Dashboard, where all the information you entered is analyzed automatically. And finally, there are Links and How to Use, with additional access and instructions. To use the file correctly, the recommended order is simple. First, configure settings, then enter your movements in transactions, and finally review the results in Dashboard. Let's start with the Settings sheet. This is the most important sheet to prepare the file before entering transactions. At the top, you'll find the Monthly Setup section. Here, you'll select the period you want to work with and the currency you want to use. First, choose the month and year you want to configure. Then, select the currency from the drop-down. The currency symbol will be applied automatically in the corresponding parts of the file. Now let's move down to the Income Allocation table. In this section, for each month, you'll define four main things: your monthly income, the percentage assigned to needs, wants, and savings. The core logic of RuleFy is inspired by the 50-30-20 method. That means 50% for needs, which are essential expenses, 30% for wants, which are non-essential or lifestyle expenses, 20% for savings, which includes savings, investments, emergency funds, or financial goals. But these percentages can be customized. You don't have to use exactly 50-30-20. If one month you need to use 60% for needs, 20% for wants, and 20% for savings, you can do that. The important thing is that the percentages make sense together and represent 100% of your monthly income. For example, if we enter an income of $2,500 for February, and we configure 50% for needs, 30% for wants, and 20% for savings, RuleFy will automatically calculate how much money belongs to each bucket. Further down in Settings, you'll find the Buckets section. Here, you'll see the categories associated with each bucket. In needs, you may have categories such as rent, utilities, groceries, internet, insurance, or transport. In wants, you may have dining out, entertainment, subscriptions, shopping, travel, or hobbies. And in savings, you may have emergency fund, investments, retirement, big goals, or other savings categories. These categories are important because they will later appear as options in the drop-downs on the transactions sheet. So, if you want to personalize the file, this is the correct place to do it. You can change category names or add new ones in the available spaces, but try not to modify the table structure, delete columns, or overwrite cells that contain formulas. The general rule is simple: customize the editable content, but don't change the structure of the file. Now let's go to the transaction sheet. This is the sheet you'll use most often. At the top, there is a month and year selector. This selector is used to review the financial status of the selected period. For example, if we select February 2026, the indicators at the top will show the information for that month. At the top, we can see three main indicators: Needs Available, which shows how much budget is still available for essential expenses; Wants Available, which shows how much budget is still available for non-essential expenses; and Save So Far, which shows how much has been saved compared to the monthly savings goal. These values update automatically based on the transactions entered in the table. Now let's see how to enter a transaction. In the main table, the columns you mainly need to complete are date, bucket, category, and amount. First, enter the transaction date. Then choose the bucket from the drop-down: needs, wants, or savings. Next, select the corresponding category. It's important that the category matches the bucket you selected. For example, if you choose needs, you should use categories such as rent, utilities, groceries, or transport. Then enter the amount in the amount column. One very important point: Do not enter negative amounts. Now let's go to the dashboard sheet. This sheet is only for analysis. It is not designed for manual data entry. At the top, we again have a month and year selector. When you choose a period, the entire dashboard updates automatically. The first section shows the monthly distribution by bucket. You'll see needs, wants, and savings, each comparing the actual value against the budget or goal configured in settings. For needs and wants, the focus is on how much was spent compared to the available budget. For savings, the focus is on how much was saved compared to the monthly goal. You'll also see progress bars and automatic messages that help you quickly understand the situation. If a budget is exceeded, an alert appears. If the savings goal is reached, a goal achieved message appears. Further down in the dashboard, you'll find charts that help analyze the information more clearly. These charts help you see which categories have the most activity inside each bucket. For example, you can review whether most of your needs spending is going to rent, groceries, or transport. You can also analyze wants to detect whether spending is mainly coming from dining out, entertainment, subscriptions, or shopping. And in savings, you can see how your contributions are distributed across emergency fund, investments, retirement, or other goals. The dashboard also includes a yearly evolution section, where you can select a bucket and compare month by month the actual behavior against the budget or goal. This section is useful for getting a broader view instead of looking at only one isolated month. And that's it. With this, you now have the complete structure to use RuleFy correctly. The flow is very simple. First, configure your income and percentages in settings. Then, record your movements in transactions. And finally, analyze the results in dashboard. RuleFy takes the information you enter and turns it into indicators, progress bars, alerts, and charts so you can better understand how your money is distributed each month. Thanks for watching this tutorial. See you in the next video.